And hello all my fellow nerds out there, it's Oracle Nerd Richie and welcome back to Our Life Beginning and Always. Now in the last episode we did the talks moment and that episode took quite a while, probably because I was talking a bit too much. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump right into the charity moment. Sun beamed in through your window, warming your skin as you lay comfortably on your bed. With your arm hovering in the air, you held your phone above your face, squinting against the sun to read the latest text Cove had sent through. He was out with the group he volunteered with, Orca, doing some kind of activity. They'd been at it since early in that morning. He'd been keeping you updated by messenger. The latest one explained how he'd just finished cleaning up the beach and was now heading over to man a stall on the shopping street to sell tickets for the fundraising dinner. Before then he went to call. You didn't mind that, and replied saying as much. As you waited for it to come in, you let out a big breath, thinking of the formal dinner that Orca organized. Being completely fundraising focused event for large donors, it was crucial for the organization projects in this year to come. That's why Cove had been so busy lately. All you had heard about it so far was that it was prim and proper occasion with speeches and everything. And then the notification popped up. Incoming call. You picked up immediately. Hi.
Sorry.
Hey Richie. Sorry, I don't have a lot of time to talk, but this was my chance, so you know. Sounds like you're doing a great job. Are you sure you're getting enough rest? I hope you can pull yourself away from your beloved beach. What a mature and responsible boy you are. I wish you were here with me instead. That kind of sounds a little clingy, but I mean, I myself can be a little clingy towards my friends, but not always. It sounds like you're doing a great job. And for a really good cause. It's nothing really. I enjoy the work. It feels good to help out.
I mean...
do you want to come by and see me? At the booth, I mean? Sure, why not? Okay, cool. See you soon. It's just down the shopping street. You'll see it. Alright, bye. See you. After a temporary goodbye, you tucked your phone away and pushed yourself up from your bed. Heading downstairs, you found Ma lounging in the living room, seated on the couch with her legs tucked up and a magazine in her lap. She looked up at the sound of your footsteps and gave you a smile. Hey, sweetie, what are you up to? Cove just finished his first Orca activity. He's going to the shopping district to sell tickets for their fundraising dinner. I'm gonna meet him there.
That's fantastic.
Good idea. That sounds wonderful. She nodded happily, and then her face fell a little, but as she put her magazine to the side. I'm still sad your mom and I can't make it to dinner that night. She seemed honestly disappointed, but her face brightened again when she looked at you next. You'll be going, right? I can buy the ticket for you if you don't have enough. What's the price? Thanks, but Cove hasn't mentioned how much it is. I'll check it out when I'm there.
Okie dokie.
Perfect. Let me know how it goes. You agree with a nod, walking backwards towards the door. Thanks, sweetie. Have a good walk, and tell Cove I said hello. I will. Bye, Ma. Strolling out the front door, you shut it behind you and let out a deep breath. You had known that the event was coming up, that you'd most likely be going to support Cove, but you hadn't thought about it too much before now. With a small nod to yourself about everything you'd have to do, you begin to walk to the shopping street. You hit the shopping street and casually walked along beneath the afternoon rays, window shopping and browsing through the various stalls that were set up around the place. It didn't take long until you spotted Cove, bright seafoam hair behind a calendar, and the banner advertising the fundraising event. He caught your eye as you headed over and stood from his seat with a smile, pleased to see you arrive. Raising a hand from the clipboard he held, he gave you a wide wave in greeting, inviting you to approach the counter. You came up right You came right up to the front of the booth, inspecting the little plush sea animals that decorated it, before turning your smile to Cove. Richie. I mean, I'm pretty sure at this point everyone probably know that we're dating, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't matter. Cove took the cue as you moved forward, placing your hands on oh. I don't know how I keep doing that. Like, is there like a double tap on my, like, okay, so for those of you who don't know, for my computer, I use like a trackpad. Okay, like I have a laptop that has a trackpad instead of its own individual mouse. I am planning on getting a mouse at some point so I can play games better. Hopefully that will make everything a little bit better. But I haven't found the time to get one now. Anyways, Cove took the cue as you moved forward, placing his hands on the tabletop and leaning his body over towards you. Oh, come on, why not? Your mouths slightly brushed against one another. It was sweet and short, with a bit of awkwardness given the piece of furniture stuck between you. When you pulled back, he smiled at you subtly, a pink blush spreading across his skin. Lifting a hand, he reached across to run his fingers along your arm gently. Then he moved back and stood up straight, clutching the clipboard tightly. Hey, good to see you. Hey, you made it. Have you settled in and everything? He nodded, taking a quick survey of the simple booth. I appreciate getting to take a seat for a while. The beach was great, but it's nice to be off my feet for 5 seconds. He chuckled. You were glad to see that despite all the work he'd been doing, he was in high spirits. He seemed to be really enjoying working with the charity. So, how much are the tickets for the event? He hesitated for a moment, rubbing the back of his neck awkwardly. They're $150. Jesus Christ! That is honestly really expensive for a ticket. Like, $150 for a ticket? Jesus Christ! I only found out today. That's pretty low for a formal fundraising dinner. That makes sense. That's so high. Honestly, I kind of want to say the middle one, but I mean, it is fundraising, so I guess it makes sense. Sounds like a pretty reasonable price for such a fancy event. I've seen way more expensive ones. Cove shrugged, glancing down at his clipboard as he answered. It's definitely not something I would normally be at, but it seems to fit the type of people who are into that kind of thing. Most people that have bought tickets wrote a check for it. I've never written the check for anything before. You laughed briefly and shook your head at him, and upon seeing the look on your face, he trailed off and cleared his throat softly. A couple of people did have cash though, but yeah, that's the answer to your question. He gave you an affectionate look. His eyes soft as they met yours. Not that it really matters. I'll get you a ticket. I just want you to be there. You will? Group members get to bring a guest? No, we only get entry for ourselves. It's only people who volunteer a certain number of hours, or if they're actually part of the team running it. Oh, should we have said that we were a part of Orca? Oh, I think we probably should have said that before. Eek. Yeah, I may have made a bit of a blunder there. So basically, I'm gonna buy it for you. Thank you. I can't let you do that. It's too expensive to be a gift. I'll make it up to you somehow. You were shocked by that. It was so thoughtful of an offer. I'll make it up to you somehow. It was a really nice gesture for him to make, and you would be kind to him in return. You really don't need to. You're still supposed to be my guest. It makes sense that I'm the one giving you the ticket. It felt good to know that you being there was that important to him. He glanced over his shoulder quickly before turning back to you, his lips tilting mischievously at the corners.
Well,
I'm not supposed to, but if you want, you can sit behind the counter and keep me company while I sell tickets. Heck yeah, burst out laughing. You're such a troublemaker, even when doing volunteer work. You nodded and grinned at him. You're such a troublemaker. He chuckled and gave you a guilty look as you rounded the table and took an extra seat beside him. The afternoon passed in a blur, with you and Cove laughing and chatting in between ticket sales. As the time drifted on and the sun sank lower in the sky, 6 p.m. finally rolled around, and you helped him get everything packed up to call it a day. As you headed back home together, you thought of the fundraising dinner and how close it was now. There was still plenty to do before the big night arrived. The days continued on in a normal flow. Before long, the night of the Orca fundraising dinner was upon you. It was early evening, and you were in your room getting ready as minutes ticked closer and closer towards the time you needed to leave. You wanted some privacy, so you locked yourself away on your own. Liz was helping you pick an outfit. Cove was on speakerphone. Liz was helping you get ready while Cove was on speakerphone. Honestly, I'm pretty sure I can get ready on my own. It was kind of peaceful not having anyone else around to rush you. You knew you had to get going before it was too late, but at least this way you could hear yourself think. The event has strict guidelines, and you wouldn't be let in unless you were dressed to code. Dress codes. Am I right or am I right? That meant having to find a truly professional outfit, but one that you were also happy with. You were happy to have the chance to dress fancy. You wanted to be practical about it. You weren't having. I guess I'd be pretty happy. There were a couple of outfits that didn't get nearly as much as use as you would have liked, and now was the time to show them off. You smile as you pick your way through the items, your excitement shining bright. Taking a deep breath to refocus yourself, you look over the options one last time. It was time to decide an outfit quick. A blouse and skirt, a button-down shirt and skirt, you chose a blouse and pants, a button-down shirt and pants, you chose a dress. Ooh. I actually don't really know which one I want to pick. Well, standardly, I will usually go with the button-down shirt and pants. That's usually my go-to. And honestly, it's always kind of been my thing. I kind of prefer wearing masculine clothes. Though, if I had the chance to cross-dress, I wouldn't mind it. You know what? Why not? I kind of want to just see what happens. Why not? Standing in front of your mirror, you quietly assess yourself. You thought about adding an accessory or two. Please, let us wear an anklet. It would be really nice. Maybe let something extra to finish all off. Rummaging through the rest of your wardrobe, you picked out what you needed to complete your outfit. Please tell me. Okay, a ring, a shawl, a tie, a button vest, a hat. Yes, anklet! I knew it! You had to quickly remove your shoes to slip on the anklet before stepping back into them again. Throw out a bracelet, why not? You slipped the bracelet around your wrist and made sure it was sitting there properly. And a necklace, sure, why not? I actually do have a necklace over here. It's actually one of my favorites. My best friend got it for me. It was super sweet. Taking your best necklace from the jewelry box, you turn back to the mirror and clasp it around your neck. And that seemed to be everything. And with that, you're ready to go. Finally, you were dressed. It had all come together. Ko sent through a text saying he was heading to the car and would see you in a bit. You carefully headed down the stairs in the living room where your moms were waiting for your appearance. As you entered, they both stood from the couch and came over to you, smiling broadly. You look wonderful, Richie.
Nice.
And very mature, too. Nice work, kid. They continued to coo and fuss over you until you managed to brush them off. Mom Ma took Mom by the arm and held her close, the two of them admiring you proudly. You enjoyed the attention, thank you. You sighed dramatically. You wondered why they were making such a big deal. Thank you. It felt a little strange to have everyone's attention on you, but you liked it nonetheless. Liz smiled at you from where she stood, her expression soft. Ma came in to give you one last hug, and before you knew it, another pair of arms were wrapped around you, and then a third. Both Mom and Liz giggled as they hugged you tight. We hope you have so much fun tonight.
Have fun.
We won't wait up for you. Stay as long as you need. You're old enough now. With a last wave goodbye, you left your family and approached the front of the door. It was time. Stepping out into the night, you closed the door behind you gently and looked out across the street. Cove was standing there in the street. His eyes met yours immediately, as if he'd been watching your house from the moment you came out. He smiled bashfully. Hey, Richie. Hey, I hope you're ready to do this. You took the chance to check over his outfit. He walked across the way to meet you. It was formal for sure, though didn't feel overly posh. It made sense for him and was honestly a sight for sore eyes. He was always beautiful to you. With a growing smile, he stepped closer to check his reddening all the way down to his neck.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming with me, and for dressing really nicely for this. Your outfit, it's just perfect. His gaze traveled downwards to take in your full form, and... the game's lagging a little bit, sorry. He leaned in only inches from your face to whisper in your ear, his warm breath tickling your skin. I like the ankle bracelet. You noticed your cheeks went high and you bit down your lip to keep from smiling too much. I wore it for you. I thought you might appreciate it. It is a special night. Cove squeezes his eyes shut and you peered at him adoringly as he mumbled to himself. Oh my god. He moved away from you a couple of paces, running his hand over his face in exasperation. He had tried to play it cool but couldn't keep it together. You started to wonder if it was a good idea after all. Cove acting like that was killing you, and you hadn't even started the trip to the dinner yet. It took a great amount of effort to focus your thoughts and react to his overall assessment of your look. You're so hot right now. Stop. You look amazing tonight. You glanced over him head to toe, noting that his shirt and pants and shoes were all shiny and new. He had put in an effort and showed it. He couldn't stop himself from looking down in order to inspect his outfit now that you pointed it out, to avoid having to face you directly after you did. But turning away did nothing to disguise how transparently pleased he was with that compliment. Thank you. He shook his head. Then he shook his head, glanced back towards the garage, and throwing them over his shoulders, spoke.
Come on.
We should probably get going. Wouldn't want to be late for such a grown-up event, right? Yeah, let's go. You headed over to Cope's car together, hopping in and strapping on your seatbelt. You were on your way. The event was being held at a place you had never been to before. You brought up the location on your phone to help Cove navigate there. It took some time to find the right address, and once you were met with the task of finding the parking spot, though you were on time, it seemed like everyone else had already showed up and claimed the spaces. Eventually you found a suitable place before realizing that it required payment. Cove covered the amount, taking the ticket from the machine and leaving it on the dashboard of the car. Ooh! Okay, this looks very fancy. I'm not gonna lie, this looks super fancy. Kind of reminds me of a junior prom night in a way. Not sure why, it just kind of does. Despite the hold-up, you managed to ultimately make it to the event and confirm you were on the guest list, before being shown into the dining area. Cove whistled low as he looked around. taking in the extravagance of the room. Chandeliers hung from the ceiling, and the entire place was decked out with beautiful oceanic displays. You were stunned yourself. It was extremely high class, even more so than you had already expected. It was so nice. This is the best looking event I've ever seen. It was too frilly for me. It was so overdone. It could be worse. You didn't comment. It's nice. You had to be impressed by the work that had gone into making everything look this lovely. And how everyone had dressed up their best outfits for the night. Seeing Cove smile as he took in the sights made you think he must be feeling the same way. The sound of Cove's name being called out echoed over the din of the room. When you looked around, there were a couple of unfamiliar people coming your way. They headed over to greet Cove, giving you both a welcoming smile and a hello. We're glad to see you can make it, Cove, especially after all the hard work you've done to make this night happen.
Of course.
Definitely, I wasn't gonna miss it. You must be Richie. Cove has mentioned you often. It's so nice to finally meet you. Yep, that's me. When you looked at Cove for confirmation, you saw he was running his toe along the ground, his face flustered red. Richie and we've known each other for a long time, since we were just kids. That's wonderful. There's nothing like your old friends. Yep. Yeah. Cove, we have to thank you for everything you've done for Orca. You're always welcome to join in on more activities when they come up. You too, Richie. If you ever decided on something you're interested in. You nodded your head in understanding, giving a small smile. Well, we'd better head off to greet the other guests. It was lovely speaking with you both. You all said your goodbyes and they faded off into the crowd, leaving you and Cove at your own once more. Cove shrugged then, your eyes darting around the place in an awkward look.
So...
I guess we should talk to more people. There isn't much else to do than at an event like this. You found your way into the groups of people who were standing around chatting while some light music played in the background. Servers with large silver trays were gliding between the guests, offering drinks and canopies. Cove approached various people as you wound your way through the guests. He managed broaching new conversations as well. You enjoyed talking to so many different people, both guests and members of the organization alike, and found yourself enjoying the company. Oh, whoops. The sound of a microphone crackling came from the podium at the other end of the room. Someone who you assume must be the host of the evening was asking everyone to sit down in preparation for the meal and speeches. You and Cove looked for a table, finding it easily enough by little name cards that were placed delicately beside the napkins. A few others joined you at the table, though they weren't anyone that you recognized. The host was still speaking as people were settling, starting off the speeches by giving a welcome to everyone attending. She went on and provided some more information about Orca, which you supposed was for the guests who weren't a part of the organization, and the purpose of the fundraiser tonight. Orca's goal, as she explained it, was to aid in the conservation and restoration of oceans and beaches. There were many people who had helped to make that group as successful as it was. When she read off the list of several volunteers that worked making the event happen, Cove's name was one of them, the first to come up. His chest puffed out in pride at that. As she continued to thank the large donors of the event, you checked over at Cove. He was still grinning happily to himself and tapping his fingers over the top of his knees, pretty pleased to have been mentioned by name. You laughed quietly at his reaction, you rolled your eyes, you were excited for him, you tried to keep your focus on the speech. He had worked so hard to make this event happen. It was the least that they deserved. While the host continued speaking, multiple servers dressed in black were settling for the first course of the menu in front of the guests. One of the servers sat down a plate in front of you, and you thanked them quietly before looking over the dish with interest. You recognized the dish as a simple Caesar salad. The host quickly wrapped up the end of her speech, thanking everyone once more before inviting you all to begin your meal. Anyone who had included a special dietary note when signed up signing up for the event would receive a vegan or vegetarian version, and there were also small baskets of bread set around the table. You ate both the salad and the bread, just a salad, some of the bread. I'm not really one for salad, I won't lie. But hey, if you're there, you gotta eat something, right? You can't just eat bread. Cove wolfed down his salad before munching on the breadstick, quickly devouring it as well. I hope the next part comes out soon, and is bigger. You could hear him mumbling to himself as he reached over another piece of bread. He glanced around the table and you followed his line of sight with curiosity, noting that everyone else was still eating the salad. Stopping his head in midair, he quickly pulled back and rested it on his lap without taking another breadstick after all. It was clear that he was starting to feel unsure of himself, and he looked a little out of place here. He folded his arms and turned away from them to you. Hey, did you like the salad? It was alright. I've had better. His gaze remained purposely tunneled on you, as if he was trying not to even think about what the rest of the table might be doing. You gave Cove a pat on the hand. You made silly faces at the other guests while they weren't looking. You picked up a breadstick and gave it to Cove. You discreetly flipped the other guests off. Really? You sat there quietly feeling uncomfortable with yourself. You gave Cove a pat on the hand. His lips tilted up at the corners, and he seemed touched by reassurance. It wasn't much longer until the main course was arriving, and various chicken, steak, and veggie dishes were being served throughout the room. This is making me so hungry. An array of scents wafted through the room, making your mouth water. Chicken, steak, vegan meal, vegetarian meal. Bruh, you know I'm gonna choose that chicken. Bring it over here. A plate of perfectly roasted chicken and vegetables was set in front of you, with a delicate pail of gravy. Cove had gone for the steak, and once he started to dig in, he was completely absorbed in his meal. You're gonna choke if you keep inhaling food like that. You kicked him under the table teasingly. You had put your hand on his thigh under the table. You flicked something at him while he was off guard. You focused on your own food. You're gonna choke if you keep inhaling your food like that. He retorted without even looking up from his dish. Most of the people here can do CPR, so it'll be fine. You shook your head in amusement as he continued fervently eating at the same pace. Dinner eventually ended, and last of all was dessert, a lemon sorbet that had been partially dyed blue. I've actually never had lemon sorbet before. Please tell me in the comments, is it any good? I really want to try it. The mix of white and bold streaks of blue made the little scoop look like a ball of roaring ocean waves. The effect was very pretty, but the serving size was small. Perhaps it was the price to pay for artistry. You turned to Cove and find him pouting a little at the size of it. Digging into the dessert, it took him only a few bites to polish it off. Again, the other people around the table had barely even begun eating. An unimpressed air settled over him as he sat back in his chair, sipping at his water unhappily. You should appreciate what you got. You laughed at his moping. You're such a big baby. We got more dessert. We can get more dessert later. You cleared your throat. You should appreciate what you got. Everyone had the exact same amount, you know. He looked up at you sheepishly, embarrassed to have been caught sulking over such a thing. He fumbled for defense.
I mean,
it was just really good, that's all, and now it's gone. But I'm okay. With a slight grin, he shrugged to show that he was really fine. Would you like a bite of mine? You scooped a spoonful of your sorbet and offered it to him, holding a hand beneath it to avoid any drips. His eyes widened as he eyed the dessert hungrily, surprised by the offer. Recovering quickly, he leaned forward over the table, lifting out the chair a little as he ate the treat from your spoon. As he sat back, humming rapidly with his own mouthful, you couldn't help but smile at the sight. Cove swallowed the fox ocean and let out a satisfied sigh. even though it wasn't that much more, the simple fact that he had gotten more hit the spot.
Thanks.
Thanks, Richie. You're welcome. You were pleased to see he was perkier, and you went back to eating the rest of your dessert. Another person from Orca got up on stage to make a speech as everyone was near the end of their meal. They spoke mostly about the individual projects that the organization was working on and their plans for the near future. It was as well as encouraging anyone who was interested to consider volunteering. Cove bent forward over the table with his chin balanced on one hand, listening attentively to the words. As they came to a conclusion, everyone gave them a round of applause. Cove caught your eye and smiled. You wondered what could happen now. The lights dimmed and a couple of spotlights came on, projecting a water light effect around the room. The guests gushed over the ambiance, and you looked around with wide eyes at the ripples on the walls. The DJ had previously been playing some soft mood music in the background, announced that the floor was now open for dancing, slowly turning up the volume so it drifted through the space. When you glanced at Cove, his eyebrows had shot up, and he mumbled quietly.
Huh.
I didn't know they would be dancing. I guess it makes sense. I love the detail that. Wait, oops. Go back. I love the detail that the lighting is also showing on Cove. I love that kind of attention to detail. It's so good. Oh, I really want to see more of this kind of thing in games. I didn't know they would be dancing. I guess it makes sense now that I think about it. He gave an awkward laugh as you both watched as the people rose from their seats. It was clear now that many of the donors were couples. A small crowd that started to form on the dance floor, and the DJ played a romantic song to get everyone started off. Cove let his gaze float over to a small sea of guests who were moving onto the floor, his hands twisting in his lap and his lips pulled into a tight line. Then with a breath and lifted his hand, he turned to you.
Well,
Wanna dance with me? I was just about to ask you the same thing. He let out a stuttering laugh, relieved. Oh, that's good. Accepting Cove's outstretched hand, you rose from your seats together and stepped out to the floor. When you had found a spot for yourselves amongst the other guests, you turned to face him, standing close. You gave Cove a small smile as you looked directly at him in front of you. He seemed a little nervous. I don't know how to dance. Not for real. He admitted it with a slight squeeze in your hand and a sheepish look. You gave him a reassuring grin and nudged a little closer to him still. It's okay, I know. With a familiar face full of affection, he let go of you and raised his arms to slide both of his hands behind your neck. You wrapped your arms around him in response. Together, you gently swayed to the music, moving your feet in time to the delicate beat. It was nice just being there like this in each other's arms. You didn't have to worry about whether you knew the right steps or not. There was always a way to make it work between the two of you. Cove leaned his head in nearer to yours, his forehead so close to yours that they almost touched. His breath was warm as he let out a contented sigh, tickling your skin. You really do look so good tonight. You're such a gorgeous guy. Thank you. You smiled widely, feeling your cheeks hotter at the compliment. Have you had a nice time? I hope you did. I came here with you, so yeah. He let out a breathy giggle. His bright eyes stayed locked on yours, studying you with unmistakable adoration. Thank you for staying. You're still here just like you promised you would be. Your heart felt light as you continued to sway whilst holding your most beloved person. So glad to be able to share a moment like this with him. A lot has happened, huh? You nodded faintly. You weren't sure if he meant just today, this summer, or your entire time knowing each other. But it really didn't matter. It was true either way. Thinking back on the years that you and Cove had been neighbors, it was difficult to even try to reflect on it all at once.
I'm so glad.
I'm glad we ended up here. He gave you a small look and you beamed, knowing that that could also mean many things. But from his tone, you were certain that he didn't only mean here at this event. It was more than that. There's nowhere else I'd rather be, so am I. I think we have to tell your dad thanks. You're amazing. You couldn't even speak. You chuckled happily at the two of you and the long adventure you'd been on. I think I want to go with the first one. You loved him, and fully and completely you did. His smile widened and he pressed his body against yours, resting his head into the crook of your neck, stroking the back of your head with his fingers. You tightened your grip on him and let your head fall against his shoulders. As the night drifted on, you held each other tight, swaying to the music as you were the only ones in the room. Cove was at a loss for words for a long time, enjoying the feeling, but you didn't mind. You were enjoying it too. The party eventually started to wind down, and at last it came to an end. When the main lights turned on, you blinked against the brightness of them, making sure you still had Cove in your sights. One final speaker came out to the podium stage, thanking all the guests for coming and wishing everyone a good night. It was bittersweet to see it come to a close, but your time with Cove was precious. At least the memories could be brought with you. Given the space one more look, you walked together with Cove out to the parking lot. The other guests were doing the same, so you got stuck in a bit of a crowd. Though Cove was so tall you can always see him, it was easy enough not to get separated. The parking lot itself was quite big, even more noticeable now with fewer cars blocking the view. It took a little while to actually locate Cove's car across its expanse. Eventually you found it, and the two of you bundled inside the vehicle and buckled up. The trip home was quiet as the both of you suddenly reflected back on the experience. The event had been the biggest night of your year for Orca, and now it was all over just like that. Outside your window, the surroundings soon became familiar, and you found yourselves back in the neighborhood. Cole pulled the car into his driveway and put it in park before letting out a relieved breath. Home sweet home. Yeah. After climbing out of the car, you walked slowly down the road, Cove coming over to stand beside you. You stopped in the middle of the street, right between your houses and his, and turned to him, finding him in the process of opening his mouth to speak. Strangely, he clamped his lips together, as though he suddenly thought better of it. This was kind of awkward. Thank you for taking me tonight. Good night, Cove. That was quite a night. You also stayed silent. Thank you for taking me tonight. Thanks for coming with me. Ruffled his hair, gave him a friendly nudge, patted him on the arm, waved goodbye, set him for a hug. Come on, why not? Oh, come on, the obvious choice is obvious. Needing to be close again before the night ended, you pressed your lips against his in a gentle kiss. He smiled as you separated, running his fingers over the side of your face.
Night.
Night, Richie. With a last wispy smile, he left towards his front door. Figuring you shouldn't linger on the street much longer, you crossed the remainder of the road and did the same. When you reached your house, you pulled out your keys and stuck them in the door, trying your best to be silent about it. Opening the door a crack, you turned back and looked at Cove from over your shoulder. Your eyebrows lifted in surprise to see that he was doing the same, holding his front door open but waiting for you to go inside before he did. You shared an amused smile before you both stepped into your own houses, locking the door behind you. It was quite late, so everyone else was already asleep. As quiet as a mouse, you tiptoed up to your bedroom and changed out of your formal clothes into your pajamas. Now that you were finally home, you were exhausted. You brushed your teeth and got ready for bed in the darkness, before crawling under the covers and letting out a heavy breath. It was so strange to think about how that was. The build-up to the event had felt like so much. Now it was completely behind you. Your mind was busy with rapid yet muddled thoughts as you faded closer and closer into sleep. As unconsciousness creeped on you, you felt more content. It was a big deal, but there would be more in the future. You could accept what it had been, and you could dream about what you'd get to experience next. and then you were taken away from your dreams back to reality by a sound. Is he at it again? Your eyebrows pinched together, fully unprepared to be a part of the waking world again. The day was over and had been an eventful one. But you heard another noise. It was a tapping. Your eyes flowed open. The window. There was a tapping that came from your window again. Cove Holden. You slowly forced yourself to get up. You went over to let the guy in. You rushed over to him. You let him in, sure. You extracted yourself from your bed, yawning. You stretched your arms and then made your way to the window. There was another tap right before where you arrived. When you pulled it wide open, Cove was indeed there. You had not been surprised to find Cove awkwardly crouched on your window ledge. However, you were taken aback to see he was a little overdressed. Cove hadn't changed out of his formal clothes. You also noticed that he was perched clumsily, but you didn't know if it was because he was trying to keep his fancy clothes clean, or if he felt weird about something. His body was too stiff and awkward. Cove smiled sheepishly. Hi, Richie. Cove, why are you here? How come you're dressed like that? It's nice to see you, Romeo. You remained silent. Have you looked at a clock? It's too late for this. It's nice to see you, Romeo. You moved aside to let him climb inside. He cautiously stepped down by stretching his legs over. Strangely, he didn't use his hands for support. It was clear to you now he was holding something. Oh? I wonder what he's holding. When he was safely on his feet, he briefly checked out his clothes, twisting around to see the back of his pants. He caught you looking and shrugged.
I mean...
I did go home after the event, but I knew I wasn't going to be able to settle down, so I just walked back out. I needed fresh air and time away from everything. He paused for a moment and raised his clasped hands to get where you could see them. But then something happened and, well, so I have something I want to show you. Cove grinned like a child and gently unfurled his fingers, not being able to keep you in suspense for even a minute. Oh? Carefully sitting inside its tiny yellow light, it blinked off and then on again. A firefly! Delicately, he moved his hand closer so that you could see the creature better. They're back. He closed his eyes, his smile now faintly illuminated by his insect companion. Remember the first time I caught one? I always will. I could barely manage anything because of that neon pink cast I was stuck with all summer. You were still stunned by what was happening, but couldn't help snickering when Cove did. It was thanks to you that I finally held a firefly in my own hand. I was happy too. I couldn't read that. When that happened, it was just really memorable for me. Honestly, I didn't think I'd see them this year. I don't know why. It's just they were kind of late, and I guess I've been worrying about a lot of stuff lately. You could tell that the firefly genuinely lifted his spirits. He seemed at peace, and he wanted to share that with you. Aww, that's so sweet. The fact that his first thought after discovering fireflies was to come over and celebrate the joy with you made you suddenly feel very cherished. Cove opened his eyes, but he looked away, not meeting yours.
It's nice.
It's really nice, I think. Even if the fireflies disappear for a while, it doesn't mean they're really gone. They'll come back. I can see them again. You smiled. Technically, fireflies aren't even gone. They're just eggs and larvae. You waited for him to continue. And then you looked at the firefly keenly. There was definitely something poetic about them. You felt a warmth in your heart. Cove looked at your face, his smile now fragile. It makes me think about the two of us. We're together, then we say goodbye, and then we're together again, day after day, year after year, and even if our time apart gets longer, it doesn't make it forever. Richie, I'll always be there, whenever you want to see me. Oh, this is so sweet. You were so in love with him, there was nothing else you could think of then, and he needed to know. You were so happy to be with him, and he needed to know that. You quietly said his name. First one. Your heart started to pound in your ears, and all you could hear was blood rushing. You looked at Ko and found yourself fixated. Now, the only thing you were aware of was your rapid pulse in him. It was as if the entire relationship was playing over your mind, every step that led you here. Everything that, from that very first night you met him, just as little kids, from the way he always held a special place in your heart. To the first time you saw fireflies together, to the first time he snuck in your room, and then to every other moment you shared. All of it came back to you. Ko's expression had turned curious as you left him waiting, wordless. He tilted his head at a question, his lips parted to speak, but you went first. I love you, Ko. With your confession, the world stopped for a second. Ko froze. Then, as if your words had turned to a faucet, tears began to fall down Ko's cheeks as he silently mouthed something, but you couldn't make out a word. Ko? He's actually crying! Oh, my boy! He's actually tearing up! He stepped closer and closer, removing the distance between the two of you. He covered his mouth with a hand, and he must have forgotten about the firefly resting there. It flew off into the night with a twinkle. He used his other hand to shakily reach over and interlace his fingers with yours. He gripped you tightly as he started sobbing harder. Smiling at him, you chuckled affectionately. Wipe his tears away. Gently, you took your free hand and wiped his tears away. Hey, Ko, it's okay. I promise. I love you, Ko. Yeah, I had a feeling it would go like this. Can you tell me how you feel? You weren't able to speak. I love you, Ko. Ko removed the hand from his mouth and used it to hold the back of your head. He brought your face to him and your foreheads brushed together. He looked straight into your eyes. His voice trembled, it cracked, and it shook. This was raw, straight from Ko's heart. I love you. He closed his eyes tightly and repeated himself, but now he could say it firmly. I love you. His aqua eyes sparkled as he opened them again. Fresh tears poured out with an outburst of emotion. Okay, honestly, this is actually making me kind of tear up, I won't lie. Fresh tears poured out with an outburst of emotion.
Sorry.
Richie, I'm sorry, I can't get it together. It's just, I tried so much to love you quietly, secretly, and that being it, but I really wanted you to feel the same. I wanted you to love me back. I wanted you to hear you say it. And I just kept thinking, what if you didn't? Maybe what I felt was too much, and I didn't know how to handle that. I didn't know what to do, but I didn't want to put any of that on you either. You weren't doing something bad. Everything you do is right and wonderful.
I'm always like this.
It wasn't your fault I had to be like that. I'm just like that. He leaned closer, hiding his face from view, his lips trailing over your ear. He whispered, "But you love me. You love me." He moved his head back, so his forehead was centered on yours, and then he closed his eyes. He shook. The hand you still held was trembling. I'm so sorry. I really always liked this. Give him a moment. Held him. Come here, you big baby. You pulled him into you, kissing his lips. He returned it desperately. Cope managed to bring a fragile smile to his face. He was still shaking. There was something decided about him.
I love you.
Richie, I love you. He repeated it more, as if to make up for all the times he didn't let himself say it before. He spoke. As he spoke, his tears dried up. His breathing became more even. The reaffirmation helped him calm down. Thank you for telling me. Cove's smile was bolder, even as his voice wavered and he ducked his head with a childish shyness. He clearly fought against getting emotional again. His watery eyes, his mused hair, the tears still drying on his cheeks. You loved him so much. I needed to tell you, you've always been lucky, haven't you? I'm so happy to have done it. You're welcome. It was only the truth. I love you. You smiled brightly at him. It was only the truth. I love you. You felt content in the moment. You really wanted to touch him a lot. Okay. Okay, so this can go one of two ways, and I honestly don't know which one we should do. Page 8. I kind of want to pick this one just to see what happens. I won't lie, I kind of just want to see what happens. You know what? Let's go ahead. I kind of want to see what happens. Oh. Well then. This can get okay. So we can start with gentle and go. Do we go down the list? You know, start off light, I suppose. You began to pull Cove into a kiss, and he welcomed it. Both of his hands cradled your head gently. He was full of sweetness for you, and eagerly you took it. It didn't take long until he shyly parted. His face was a little red. Cove beamed at you and then kissed you back once more. A brief but solid stamp of affection. Oh, so we do get to go down the list. That is so interesting. You nuzzled up against him. You could hear his breathing pick up, and you kissed across the exposed part of his neck. He made a quick gasp and let it out as a long sigh. While you busied yourself over his neck, he reached down to stroke your thighs slowly. Run a hand through his hair. You stayed close to him and used one hand to comb through his hair. He leaned into your hand when your fingers got deep into his strands. Cove tilted his head and brought his mouth to yours. Your lips delicately touched, too brief and slight to be a true kiss, but enough to be exciting. The slight touches were because he was also using his mouth to mumble something, although you couldn't make out any clear words. Just all over his face. You moved your face over his cheek and gave it a nice smooch. He smiled and then planted another on the tip of his nose. You kissed across his forehead and moved on gently to brush your lips against his eyelids, and then hit the corner of his mouth. He made small pleased noises and wrapped his arms around your lower back. He pressed himself even closer to you. Press him against the wall. It's like that thing people do. It's just you pin one hand against the wall and lean over them while they're just pinned against it. You step forward with purpose and press your hand against his shoulders. You kept walking. His eyes widened, but he let you lead him, stepping back at the prompting. Cove squeaked when he made contact with the wall. You stared up into his flushed face. Cove's body was tense being in such a position, but you knew with complete certainty that it wasn't a bad way. You could feel one of his knees rubbing against the inside of your leg encouragingly. Oh? You whispered his name. Cove? You said it hushed under your breath, and then brought your lips to its ear and repeated yourself lovingly. Cove. A shiver went through went through him, and his grip on you tightened. He had to do with the way his knees almost buckled. Satisfied, you pulled away. You took a step back from him and tried to settle your pounding heart. Your pulse, your breath, Cove. It took a few deep breaths to focus again. He did the same, leaning his head back and covering his eyes with one hand. He was as red as he could be expected. Definitely bashful, but honestly, he looked plenty pleased. You couldn't help thinking about how happy you were to be with him, how you were certain you wanted to spend your life with him, how you were certain you wanted to spend your life with him, and you told him as much. Oh. Let's just say we thought about him. We thought about it. You didn't need to pretend it wasn't true. Not to yourself. You dreamed of waking up every day to him. You wanted Cove to be your partner through all you had experienced in this world, and someday you wanted everyone to know just how much you loved him. For now, though, you were content to keep that in your thoughts. Finally, he was able to laugh softly. The tears were nothing but salty remnants on his cheeks. He brightened up as if finally able to process the absolute joy of tonight in full. You felt good too. It took a little more time together to simply exist in the new dynamic you had stepped into. Cove looked into your eyes with a soft, slightly shy expression. There was hope in his smile. Do you want to go to the hill with me? I bet there's still fireflies. Too late. I'm tired. Maybe another night. Let's go. Cove brightened. He was practically bouncing at the thought of a secret excursion before he suddenly became bashful.
So
how should we leave? We could just try the door. We don't have to do the window thing. But maybe that'd bother your family? You both chuckled at how awkward it would be if your mom's, or worse, Liz, saw you going on a midnight firefly catching trip. You'd be sure to avoid that. You could leave from your window. Let's go through the window. Cove nodded in understanding. You grabbed some shoes and readied yourself for an adventure. You were glad that there was no way you'd run into another soul outside. Cove would be way overdressed, and you were still in your jammies. You let Cove go first. He stepped back in the ledge as he carefully followed. He shuffled along, and soon you reached the garage. You planned to use the fence from there to reach the ground. Cove climbed down the fence. He wobbled once, but he made it without issue. He leaned against the fence and projected hushed words up to where you were waiting.
are you okay?
Do you want help? Yeah, help me out here. You got to the edge and let Cove spot your descent. He grabbed you about halfway down, brought you to rest firmly on the ground. Oh. Cove gave you an encouraging smile, but neither of you risked speaking yet. You briskly snuck behind the house and up the old white poppy hill. And Cove was right. The entire hill was lit up, insects twinkling here and there with their pale yellow light. Cove let out a contented sigh, finally able to relax and pull. He strode further up the hill to better enjoy the view. You walked along as well, letting yourself be surrounded by a twinkling display. Then without warning, Cove plopped onto his back. He paid no mind to smacking his formal attire in the grass. He put an arm under his head and stretched the rest of his limbs out. He was clearly getting quite comfortable in the dirt here. Oh come on, of course we were laid down next to him. You sat down first and then fell back. You could see the stars when you looked up in the night sky. You snuggled, you wrapped your arm around him, you enjoyed his face. Snuggled against Cove. He was warm in contrast to the chilly ground. Cove cuddled closer in turn, tucking his arms up near your shoulders. I wonder if Dad will be mad about the grass stains. He tugged at the collar of his shirt. He didn't sound concerned, just idly curious. Maybe you should figure out how to clean it before he finds out. His smile bent a little and was silent between you. The only sounds were the rustling of bugs and the breeze, and the faraway crashes of waves on the sea. You couldn't help but reflect on what happened only a brief time earlier. Between this and your room, this almost felt like a different world. Was it even real? What happened between you two? You can almost be convinced it wasn't, and that you had never actually stopped dreaming. You stole a glance over at Cove. He caught you and blushed. The little reddening reassured you. Cove remembered the same as you. But what you had was real. Fireflies, you watched to catch some fireflies. You asked Cove if he wanted to catch fireflies. You challenged him to a rolling race on the hill. You asked Cove to dance with you. Honestly, oh, come on. This setting with that formal attire, there's no way you wouldn't ask someone like that to dance with you. Like, come on. Why not dance? Hey, Cove, do you feel like dancing? Cove stared at you in shock at the invitation. Understandably, he had not expected that. You felt obligated to try to say more. It makes sense. Look how you're dressed. Maybe it's the way you're dressed. What else are you gonna do in those fancy clothes? He laughed lightly and shrugged his shoulders. You have a solid point. You got up and brushed off your clothes as best you could. A pesky blade of grass tried to stay stuck to your leg. Cove did likewise, wiping his hands on his hands to clean them off. You faced across at each other, and suddenly the prospect of what you were doing became more real. Cove hesitated a moment as you both tried to decide what move to make now. He smiled as he wrapped one arm around your waist and the other across your back. He pulled you closer, near enough that your bodies were touching. When you began to sway together amid the floating lights, despite the lack of music, you found a rhythm to your movements. Back and forth, step to the side and slide. It was relaxing and freeing. Your eyes never strayed from one another. For a time, you just existed in the moment, holding each other close and enjoying each other together. Enjoyed being together. The hour grew late, and the fireflies mostly dispersed, until only a few stragglers remained. They even blinked out of sight, leaving you alone with Cove and your thoughts. Cove stole a second to release the words that had been filling his head during that quiet. I love you, Richie. You felt a great deal of happiness. Cove's expression was completely open and honest, and full of sincerity. He meant every word. He truly loved you. No matter how much it didn't seem real yet, it was. It felt as though this was a night that would never end, but you knew it would have to, all too soon. They were only grateful to have been a part of it. These were moments to truly treasure. You never let yourself forget them. Oh, and that was the end of it? Okay, honestly, wow, I was definitely not expecting that. Huh. Well then, I suppose that's gonna do it for this episode for now, guys. Trust me, it's literally been an hour and I don't think we have time to do the drive moment right now. I don't want this episode to be longer than it already is. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be sure to leave a like, comment what you think, share this with your friends, and be sure to subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss a single notification. I'll see all of you in the next video. Goodbye!
You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a